Hey, my little readers, welcome to your own channel, The Story Treasure. How you guys have been doing? I hope you all are doing really great. So, today we are going to read a very interesting book, and the title of the book is Mr. Brave, written by Roger Hargreaves. So, let's get started. This is a story about Mr. Brave. Now, Mr. Brave is not as strong as Mr. Strong, and he is not as tall as Mr. Tall, but as you will soon see, that does not stop him being brave. This story happened last Tuesday when little Miss Bossy rang Mr. Brave to invite him to tea. "And don't be late," she shouted down the phone. It was a very stormy day, but Mr. Brave knew that little Miss Bossy's temper was worse. So he set off for little Miss Bossy's house, hurrying along as fast as he could, to be sure that he was not late for tea. Along the way, he heard a cry for help. It was Mr. Messy. He had been blown into the river by wind. Mr. Brave did not want to be late for little Miss Bossy, but being the brave fellow he was, he jumped into the river and rescued Mr. Messy. "Oh, thank you," said Mr. Messy. "You're so brave, Mr. Brave." Wet right through, Mr. Brave hurried on along the lane. Suddenly, he heard something sobbing loudly. Who could it be? It was little Miss Somersault. She was balancing on a tight rope, tied between two tall trees. "Oh, Mr. Brave, I'm so lonely," she sobbed. "Nobody will come and play on my tight rope. They are too frightened of heights." "You're so brave, Mr. Brave," she added. "Won't you come and join me?" Mr. Brave looked up at little Miss Somersault. He did not want to be late for little Miss Bossy, but being the brave fellow he was, he took pity on little Miss Somersault and climbed up on to the tightrope. They chatted away happily for a while until Mr. Brave happened to look down. "Little Miss Somersault, look!" he cried out in panic. "The rope is going to snap. We are going to fall. And it's such a long way down. Oh, calamity! Oh, help!" "Be brave, Mr. Brave," said little Miss Somersault. And without more ado, she carried him safely back down to the ground. "Oh, thank you," said Mr. Brave with a sigh of relief. Little Miss Somersault said goodbye and left Mr. Brave on his own, shaking like a leaf. "I don't deserve to be called Mr. Brave," he said to himself. "I was scared stiff. Thank goodness nobody knows my secret." And nobody does know his secret. Or do they? Now little Miss Trouble just happened to be passing, and she had seen and heard everything. And what she had seen and heard had given her an idea, a very naughty idea. She grinned a mischievous grin. "Hey, come here everybody," she shouted at top of her voice. "Come and see this." Very quickly a large crowd gathered. "I have an announcement," announced little Miss Trouble. "Did you know that Mr. Brave isn't brave at all?" "No, it can't be true," said the crowd all together. "It is true," said little Miss Trouble, "and I'll prove it to you. Mr. Brave," she continued, "I dare you walk across that tight rope." Mr. Brave looked up at the tightrope, and all the crowd looked up at the tightrope. Then all the crowd looked at Mr. Brave. Mr. Brave suddenly remembered something, a very important something. Just look at the time, he said. I am going to be late for tea at little Miss Bossy's. Must dash, he cried, and he ran off as quickly as possible. Hooray! Cheered the crowd, and they all clapped and applauded Mr. Brave. Little Miss Troubled looked puzzled. Why are you cheering him? She cried. He ran away. He isn't brave at all. Oh, yes, he is, they all shouted. Would you turn up late for tea at Little Miss Bossy's? Little Miss Trouble thought for a moment. Gosh, she said in awe. He is brave after all. I hope you enjoyed today's story, my little readers, and if you do, give this video a thumbs up and do let me know. I'll see you next time. Until then, please take care. Bye-bye. Have fun.